Yeah. International Internship University is a leading virtual education system and a global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs globally. It is a trusted name for quality training program and is committed to providing better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. In short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit, sir, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing education to students from various social and cultural backgrounds. We're talking about renew the mind. That's what we want to look at today. The mind in itself is a gift that God has given us globally for us to use. It's like, let me call it like a computer system that you buy, and the computer system is just there blank, nothing in it. But the computer system is active, you on it, it on, it's working. But what makes the computer system valuable and more effective are the various applications that you have put in them. And those apps are what help the computer system to be efficient for the user. So we're talking about renewing the mind. We're trying to talk of things we need to do so that our minds can be effective, so that we can be result-oriented, so that we can rise from one particular level to another, so that we can maximize our potentials and then not become totally dependent when we have the capacity to take over the world, not become a liability when we actually result-oriented. Now, not become employee, but rather employers of labor. Being an employee is not an offense, though. But I'm saying that some of us are employers of labor while we are really employees. So the mind in itself is very, very broad. When we check, according to Dr. Sigmund Freud in 1955, he said the unconscious mind is the primary source of human behavior. Like an iceberg, the most important part of the mind is the part you cannot see. Our feelings, motives, and decisions are actually powerfully influenced by our past experiences and stored in the unconscious. Now, what are we saying in essence? It's like when you give birth to a child, our mind is blank. And some of us come from different backgrounds. So if we come from our family, first, the family imbibe in us the cultural character, attitude we need to have. Is that telling us you need to do this, you need to do that? Those are the applications that are going into our mind. Now, as our mind take in those information, those are the things we use to work. Like I said, I'll be talking on renewing the mind, renewing the mind. So in this case, the mind has already taken in some of these applications. Some of us come from a cultural background where we told us, oh, in our culture, we don't behave like this. Like I'm a Yoruba man in particular, and we are told that when you greet an elderly person, you prostrate. That means you have to lie down with your tummy, everything, as if you're prostrating before a king. That's how you greet the elderly. In my culture, we are told that when you see an elderly person carrying a load, you help them to carry the load. That is our culture. That is imbibed in our mind. But like I tell you, I'm talking on renewing the mind. Now, also in our culture, there are some traces we have been told, also in our culture, that, oh, don't mingle with so-so tribe, or don't mingle with so-so people. They are dangerous, they are harmful, they are helpful. These are our good neighbor, these are our bad neighbor. All these are put in our mind. Like I still say, I am talking on renewing the mind. Now, also, apart from that, some of us come from religious backgrounds whereby some of us we're told in our religion, we do this, we don't do that. I'm from a Christian religion. There are a lot of things, ways we worship. All these are part of the apps that have been put into our mindset so that we can be able to behave in a manner that is acceptable, or so that it will help us to comport ourselves in the public. In theology, we are told that man is trichotomy. Some say we are dichotomy, meaning body and soul. where you know the body and then the soul has to do with the mind. And then some say we are trichotomy also, which means body, soul, and spirit. And you know, when we talk about the soul there, it's also is connected to our mind. And also, when we're looking at this mind, we are saying that the mind in itself has the capacity to accept and organize itself and be able to attain a maximum potential. In fact, let me put it this way. Quote me, the mind is limitless. The mind is limitless. The reason why we're having some limitations in our doings, in our dealings, in our everyday activities is because of the state of our mind. And because of the limitations we have put. That's why this topic, renewing the mind, is very, very vital. A lot of us are still working based on what has been put, the apps that we have put into our mind, that we are still taking up and down, which today has become a restriction to some of the things we need to do. And it has helped us sometimes not to broaden our scope of achievements. Why am I here today? Is because I have renewed my mind. I'm a clergy, but I'm not speaking like a clergy. Why? I have renewed my mind. It doesn't take away what I know, but it has rather maximized the knowledge and the capacity of my mind. Most of the young learners there, most of the youth are there. There's so many potentials in them, but their mind, they're still working with some of the archaic knowledge we have, not updating some to the digital knowledge. Just like you say that we are doing virtual education, thank God for IIU, for virtual learning. Some still believe that learning has to be through brick and mortar. But you see, the world is modernizing. Thank God for the COVID-19, which of course it claims life, but also it has brought a new dimension to the educational system, and it has further encouraged the virtual learning. Let me bring a food that we normally eat and use it to explain how our mind can be renewed. And that particular meal is called cassava. Cassava, you can write it down, cassava. It is spelled C-A-X-X-A-V-A, cassava. It is a meal. Cassava on its own, take it as your mind. Just look at cassava, and when you see cassava, just imagine you removing the cassava from the ground as your mind. Cassava on its own is just there one. In a simple box. When you boil a hot water and you put cassava inside, the next thing with cassava is that you cook it and you eat it. And you know, depending on the size of the cassava, you alone can finish one tuber, or you, your friend, can finish one tuber. But I want to also say this about cassava. I'm trying to use this to relate to renewing our mind. One thing with this that somebody eats, if you carry this same cassava and you broaden the scope of cassava and you renew the mind of cassava, you find that there's more to cassava than just having it as a meal you eat on the table and you feel. For example, if you check it out, you can Google it out. There are so many products that we can get out of cassava. Some of us cassava as food alone, just like our mind is. Think it's a particular way of doing things, a particular way of addressing things, a particular pattern we are already imbibed and we cannot do otherwise, and that's the pattern we like following. But when you check the cassava that is being renewed, there's somebody has looked at this. It's more to this cassava than just me cooking it. When you check, there are other products you can get from cassava. For example, there's what we call cassava flour. If a man is being a potential can come out called flour. Cassava flour is being used for those who make, as you know, the word flour means flour, which you use for cakes and other things. It's still gotten from the same cassava, which you could have finished. And then the same cassava, there's what we call animal feed. You get it from cassava. Why? Because the cassava is what is renewed. Just like the mind, if the mind is renewed, it begins to see other potentials, other possibilities. A renewed mind is not limited. A renewed mind is unlimited. And let me tell you, a renewed mind lives in a world of endless possibilities. Just like this cassava, it can just end as a meal on the table. You can just end your mind on a single dose, but yet also you can see the great potential. From this same cassava, you can get alcohol. From a renewed mind, you can be a producer of breweries. You can be a producer of companies, of beverages. Like the animal feed, you can be a producer of animal feed if you work on your mind. Not just limiting your mind to say, oh no, we don't like this kind of animals. We don't accept them here. But you can actually produce feed that can take care of some of those animals and make your money. And rather than being dependent, you become what? Independent. Rather than becoming a liability, you become what? An economically viable person. Instead of depending on people are rather depending on you. From the same cassava, you can get starch. Some of them use them for your clothes. You know starch. Yeah, from the same cassava. You can be a producer of starch company. If your mind is renewed, rather than wasting it on violence and other vices, a renewed mind is productive, not counterproductive. A renewed mind is a mind that moves from one level to the other. A renewed mind is a mind that moves from zero to hero. That's a renewed mind. But an unrenewed mind stayed at the level of zero. But a renewed mind moved from what? Zero to hero. So cassava, without being renewed, stays cassava at zero. But when it's renewed, it produces what? Alcohol, starches, for sizing papers, and also textiles. You draw them on your textiles, starch. And you know, out of cassava, you get sweeteners. Yes, sweeteners. Out of the same cassava, we have what? Biodegradable products. Like protein, that the one you carry, you can put your, in fact, after a while, it degrades. You can even produce such companies instead of wasting your time, wasting your Bible. I'm talking to the young youth, and I'm talking to all of us who are great minds out there, that there's more to our mind than just staying at the level of zero. If we can renew our mind, there's a lot of potential we can do. There's a lot of potential we can achieve. There's a lot our mind can do that just waiting it on evil and wasteful vices. For example, from the same cassava, there's a local meal here we have in my country, Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria, and based here in just the two states in particular. There's a local meal we have here. We call it gari. It's still gotten from cassava. Google gari, G-A-R-R-I, gari. You soak it in water from the same cassava. And ordinarily, when you look at cassava, you say it's not possible. If I bring gari and tell you this is from gari, this is from cassava, you say how. You can't even relate it. That is how, if you are in new, people may not, your background will no longer matter. Your background will never leave your back on the ground. Rather, you look at your background and people will not believe that's where you come from. That's why when you read about the story of people like Bill Gates, you know that they come from a renewed mindset. When they say, Mom, I'm thinking. And today, it's funny, several times he has become the world's most richest man. Why? Because he has a renewed mind. A lot of people go through school and all they feel, well, I'm through with school, I have master's degree. No. If your mind is renewed, you start thinking, what can I do with master's? Even before you finish your education, you become employer of labor rather than looking for jobs. A renewed mind. There's another meal we get from cassava. I'm not trying to show you the potential that can come from the mind, just like this cassava, a whole composite mind. But now, being renewed. From cassava, you can get what we call apple. AKPU is a local meal here, white. You eat it swallow. It looks like pounded yam, but it's not pounded yam. It's from a renewed. If you have a renewed mindset, you can become white. You can become good. You can become better to the society. Do you know apple are being eaten by presidents of nations? So many, if you have a renewed mindset, you can stand before presidents of nations. You can even stand before your country president. Some of us, I in particular, have had a handshake with the president of my country, President Muhammadu Buhari, when he was contesting for election 2015. Why? Because of a renewed mind. If I was working with the old mindset, I wouldn't be there. But because of a renewed mind, you can stand before the president of your nation. And when you stand before them, you don't just go to them and you're asking them for help. Rather, you are bringing to them ideas. Just like cassava, when it appears this time around under a renewed atmosphere, it comes with great potentials, ideas. And you know, these are economically viable products. There's alubo. Go to America, say you want to buy alubo, they sell it in some of their parts. Go to America and some of their leading super stores there. You say you want to buy gari, you will get it there. The same gari we take here is being sold in America. The same gari we take here is being sold in other foreign countries, including Britain. Go there, you find some of these products, and people are eating them. They are eating them. Why? Why am I saying this? If you have a renewed mind, the world begin to look for you. People sponsor you. Like Gary cassava cannot work. It's just a meal that you take. But people take their time to prepare it, make a finished product. A renewed mind come out as a what? Finished product. If you renew your mind, you come out as a finished product, not the old you. Like I'm telling you, I'm going to look at it from a broad perspective. From a broad perspective. Now, you can be sellable. They can market you to the world. Like we have some young footballers who are playing football here. You see them just playing. Like Ronaldo, when I read some of their stories, some of them were just playing there in their local street and in their local environment. But now, because their minds are renewed, today they are world football players, world best football players. People are watching them all over the world. People are celebrating them. People are talking about them. Why? Because of their renewed mindset. And somehow it also affects the way they look and the way they dress. Let me come from this angle also. Okay, before I land on this other angle, because I have to look at it from a broad perspective because of the young learners out there. There's another product also you get from sorry, I'm telling you about my rich cultural heritage here in Nigeria. We have another product we call abacha. Abacha. A-B-A-C-H-A. Abacha. It's gotten from the same cassava. There are lots of things you can get from cassava. So many. Why? Because it is renewed. And abacha is acceptable in the community where it's being eaten. So if you have a new mindset, you'll be accepted by your community where you are. You will not be rejected. You will not be displaced. You will not be displaced. Now, let me come from this other angle that I want to land on. Talking about renewing our mind also. Do you know, if we have a renewed mindset, there won't be anything like racism. The reason why we talk about racism is because we do not have a renewed mindset. If you have a renewed mind, there's nothing like racism. For example, the person that comes as a black man, I want you to look at it critically. Both you, the white man, and the black man. How many of us, before we were born, determined where we were born, or the color of our skin before we were born? The reason why we talk about racism is because we do not have a renewed mind. The renewed mind. Our mind is not yet renewed. If you meet somebody with a renewed mind, there won't be anything like racism. Because a black man was born black. He didn't choose it. He was born black. So I'm talking to us, the young minds there, because some of our leaders have made mistakes, some of our elders have made mistakes. We should not repeat some of their mistakes. We should create a better world. Now, there are people in the other side which we may call enemies, or people who don't call them friends, but who have what we want. So they renew mindset. We work with them. We build a better world, not a chaos world, not a problematic world, but rather a solution-filled atmosphere, a solution-filled environment. We don't see much of the problem. We create more solutions. So even while the problems are coming, solutions are already made available. So a renewed mind will not work on racism. So if you are a Christian, you never ask God, I want to be born black. You were born black, and God chooses it. So if you are fighting somebody because of their color of their skin, automatically you are saying that God that made them that way made a mistake. That aside, what about people who fight on ethnicity? If you have a renewed mind, ethnicity will never be an issue to you. None of us choose our ethnicity. In my country, there are people that are called Igbo and ethnicity. Some are Yoruba, some are Calabar, some are Ibibio, some different, some are Miango, some are Kappa, some are Okun people, some are Ebira. Different ethnicity, but none choose where we will land. All of us are born into our various ethnicities. I will now have our tribes. We don't choose our tribes, we are born there. So also we don't choose our religion. We are born into those religions. So a renewed mind is a endless possibility mind. You don't see problem, you see solution. When you have a renewed mindset, you have what we call acceptance. When your mind is not renewed, you have restrictions, too many restrictions. Like there are restrictions in life, but when you have too many restrictions, then your mind is no longer renewed. That some people say virtual learning, what do I need to learn? I'd rather go to a brick and mortar classroom and learn rather than coming to a virtual learning. Meanwhile, there's a lot you can learn. I've learned so much from other lecturers on IIU. I've spoken, I've given so many lectures, I've given so many speeches on IIU. I've learned so much from a vast resource person. Why? Because I have a renewed mind. I did not say, oh, no, it has to be theology. If it is not theology, oh, it has to be philosophy. No. I listen to different speakers from different faculties. Why? So that my mind can be renewed. Do you know a renewed mind also helps the doctor? Yeah. For example, if your mind is not renewed, each time you are sick, once you have a headache, you have to go to the hospital and you go and get a card. And then when you get the card, you have to wait for the doctor to see you. And when the doctor finally sees you, the consultant, after seeing you, will refer you and prescribe drugs for you. But you know, when your mind is renewed, at a point in time, you start knowing the kind of drugs the doctor prescribes for you for a particular ailment. I'm not saying substance abuse. I'm not talking of substance abuse. A renewed mind doesn't engage in substance abuse. I'm just trying to say, in essence, that you know the kind of drugs the doctor gives to you. And then because of that, when you have headache, instead of going to the hospital to go and disturb the doctor, rather you take the prescribed drug based on the doctor's prescription. And then you say, let the doctor know, this is what I went from, but this is the drug I take, and this is the outcome of the drug. So you save the doctor's time. And then if you don't know what, then you can say. That's why in my country, they tell you in the drug, they tell you if symptoms persist after 2 days. That means after 2 days of taking the drug, they say consult the doctor. Meaning it saves the doctor some time. Imagine all of us going to meet the doctor. All of us. There's nothing wrong with it. But meanwhile, some of us can actually afford the drug, get the drug without it. So others can be able to access the doctor. Those who are after taking the drug are not yet responding to treatment or are not yet healed. They can see the drug, but all of us end up choking. So if our mind is renewed, we save the doctor. Let me tell you, if our mind is renewed, we save the judges. We save the judges. Like I've said, a lot of people have been arrested because of racism. You won't have such. The judges have better things to do with their time. Not come and sit down and be discussing racism. No, you save the judges' time. There are other issues you need to attend to. Even the police force, the security men, you save their time. There won't be any need for religious war, religious fighting, because we have not yet renewed our mind. When you see where there are religious crises, because the mind is still not yet renewed. Like I tell you, nobody in particular at birth choose our religion. We're born into it. What about children who are abandoned by their parents? For example, we have a situation in my country where somebody from a particular tribe gives birth to a child, and because he's living in a particular different ethnicity environment, sometimes dump the child here and run away because maybe the mother or the parent cannot take care of that newborn baby. And then somebody else now pick the child from a different ethnic group, from a different religion, train that child. And that child grow up seeing that person as his or her father, and grow up seeing that person's religion as his or her religion, see that person tribe as his or her own tribe, see that person ethnicity as his or her own ethnicity, not knowing he or she is from a different ethnicity, and he works with him and lives perfectly well, and lives perfectly good. That's what a renewed mind is. When your mind is not renewed, you start having problems with everyone. It is high time for we, the leaders of tomorrow, to work with a renewed mindset. Look for a better way to create a peaceful atmosphere around the world. Look for a better way. If your country is fighting wars that are unnecessary, find a way to bring peace. A renewed mind engages in values that have to do with mercy and forgiveness. A renewed mind engages in values that have to do with production, industrialization, infrastructure. It's not thinking of buying guns alone. It's thinking of what? If the environment is safe, there won't be need for guns. If the environment is safe, there won't be need for weapons. So think of how to make the environment safe. Don't imagine you have a renewed mind and have fellow people with a renewed mindset like yours. What do you think will happen? We have a peaceful environment. There are countries in the world where most of these killings that we have been going on day and night, like in my country, the level of killing, the bloodshed is so much. Google it, you'll find out so much. But there are still countries in the world where they are staying peaceful. And when I tell you peaceful, I mean peaceful. I don't want to mention that. Google it, you'll find out. Why? Because the people are working with a renewed mind. Renew your mind. Renew the mind, and you have a better world. Renew the mind. I'm talking to young leaders. Renew the mind, and you have a better economy. We are all complaining that our leaders are not doing well, and we say the political leaders are just doing things the way they like. And yet, we the young ones, when we come in, we don't make things better. For example, we see a leader who is not doing well and is asking us to come and vote for him. How do we vote such a leader? A renewer will not do that because he knows his mistakes is our mistake. So you will not want to make the mistake that will affect us, because he's looking at the next generation coming. If you have a renewed mind, you may pay a price. You may go through a lot of challenges. In short, of course, it's not easy. You may go through various, but you are creating a better world for the next generation. That they will never knew some battles you fought. They will never knew some challenges that actually existed. That's why I like IIU. IIU has brought a lot of innovations, a lot of lecturers, a lot of resource persons. And they have talked on different aspects to make a better world, even including the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. They talk on it so that we have a better world. A renewed mind is not limited. A renewed mind look at a better world. So all the young learners out there, I am telling you, if you have a renewed mind, like Dr. Sigmund Freud says, our mind will think of positive things, no negative things. The reason why we think negative is because our minds are not yet renewed. As long as you have a positive mind, we'll go far. Now, let me also tell you there's another local meal we have in my country. We call it yam. Of course, you know yam. So many of you have it here in your country. Yam. Y-A-M. Yam. Yam. Yam on its own, when you take it, just like an unrenewed mind, it's just there one. You can cook it only you and you finish it. But let me tell you, from yam, you have what we call black amala. If you pound yam, just like a renewed mind, if you pound yam, you have what we call inyo, pounded yam. Very sweet, very palatable. Presence of nations are eating it. So what am I saying in essence? Get your mind renewed. You are an endless possibility to the world. You are a great resource person to the generations to come. You are a great resources to the world we are living in. Why waste it? Let's get our mind renewed. Let's look at other countries of the world, our friends who are having challenges in their country, and try to relate as youth and our fellow friends and see how can I help my friend in the other country have a better economy. Not how do I carry guns and kill the man in the other country. No. Let's sit down. We don't have a new mind. Let's sit down and think, oh, I just saw my friend on the social media or on his video. Oh, he doesn't have shoe. How do I engage the shoe factory, shoe producer in my company to start selling shoes or producing shoes, or find out why they don't have shoes? Is it that they don't have shoe factories in their company, and see how you can create one? Even if you cannot create one, you can be a supplier. A renewed mind is an endless possibility. We need to renew our mind. We need to take our work to the next level and stop leaving it at the level where it keeps rusting, like what we are doing to some of our earth today. Just imagine our world is deteriorating. A lot of people are using fossil fuel, which is detrimental to the ozone layer, even to the atmosphere. I was saying already, some of us use non-renewable energy, non-renewable plastic bag, not so many things. A renewable will not engage in that. We think of better way to save the world, because this is the only world we have. Even we are thinking of moving to another planet, but it doesn't stop us from protecting this and keeping this. Perhaps we may not need it. Somebody else may need it, not to destroy what we have, all in the hope of thinking of what we want to get. So we need to renew the mind, because the mind is an endless possibility. I want to also tell you also again, if we have a renewed mindset, when we go into politics, we don't become a problem, we become the solution. First of all, before you go into politics, we find out what are the challenges, which we already know, and then find out why those challenges refuse to go. Like in some countries of the world, we have presidents who say they are fighting corruption, and at the end of the day, they say the corruption is fighting them back. And sometimes they end up even becoming more corrupt, or the economy becoming even more corrupt than it was. Why? We need to renew our mind. So when we get into those political atmosphere, we create a better political system. We don't think of pulling down mentality, the PhD pulling down or pull out down mentality. No, that's not our PhD. That's not our philosophy. No, we think of how to make it a better world. So when we go into politics, we become better politicians. And we see if Israel has a product you need. You don't say, oh, no, Israel is we don't like Israel. We are our enemy. No. If they have what you need, you work with their potential. And they too, they know when you buy product from them, they start patronizing you. Look at Philippines. There are so many products. Cassava is one of the major products they produce in Philippines. Hectares, people, it's economic. Oh my God. People are making a lot of money. Let's look at ourselves critically and see there's a lot of potential in us. Why become a liability? All because we refuse to renew our mind. We want to become dependent? No. Say to yourself, I'm a great potential for my world. I'm what my world needs. And I am what it takes to change the world. That's what the renew mind thinks. Positively, not change the world negatively or positively. Let me tell you, if you have a renew mindset, there won't be any need for terrorism. And why we have terrorism is because we do not have a renewed mindset. Why buying weapons to kill? Why waste your time engaging in vices whereby you can be killed on the spot for no just cause? When after all, you can still live a better world. It is just because you do not have a renewed mindset. There's a lot of even girls who are getting prostitution because the mind is not yet renewed. I'm telling you, if you have a renewed mindset, you can rise from zero to hero. You can move from a nobody to somebody. Go and Google it. Google so many of the world's celebrated stars today. They check their history, check their background. You find out that all of them went through their own challenges, but today they are not living in those challenges. Today they are examples, they are pillars, they are role models to their generation. A renewed mindset. Let us also work to become a role model to our own generation. I want to tell you, we have what it takes to change the world. We have what it takes to make our world a better place. We have what it takes to take IIU to a next level, like we are doing. We have what it takes to even take our various institutions, our countries to next level.
Professor Dr. Micheal. Professor Dr. Micheal. I think we lost him, so let's wait for a minute to. We lost him. Full. Let's wait a few minutes. Yes, we have network problems. our ambassador, Professor Dr. Micheal from Nigeria. But we have a great speech from him. He is not coming yet back. Thank you, Professor Charles, for nice comments. He unfortunately is not coming back. So I think that we will finish the session and we will have more opportunities to hear our great HE Archbishop King Ambassador Professor Dr. Micheal Olusegun from Nigeria. Thank you all for the attention and for being with us. And now, after this session for 30 minutes, we are having another great session with Mr. Showan Gupta, starting Abacus at the early years. Have a nice day.